group, and we like it that way. We like it that way. We have the ability to introduce ourselves, and this program is all about networking and helping each other. One, get the grant, and then two, once we get it, do the best we can in getting through it for the next grant. So, well, we'll get started. Stephen, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Steve Fenton, and I work with Mike and also our colleague Nolan. And it's really a pleasure to be here and see everyone again.
Okay, I'm Mike Senu, the facilitator with HMTRI. Janet?
Janet Curley with Santa Fe Community College in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
And today our guest of honor, Marilyn.
Hey everyone, I'm Marilyn Wren. I'm with Coalfield Development. We're a nonprofit organization in Wayne, West Virginia. Glad to be here.
Nolan?
I'm Nolan Curtis. I now work with Stephen and Michael. I've been risen from the dead, but I've been doing this about 25-ish years with these guys. So again, happy to be here.
Rita?
I'm Rita Ware, project coordinator for, where am I? Region 6. And I want as many people as I can get because I've just about worn Janet to death. You know, I don't call her anymore. I have people on my team to call her, and she's always busy. So
They don't tell us, but these regional coordinators have a little competition going, who could get the most applicants and grantees, and Rita's trying to game the system here, but that's okay, Rita.
woman's got to do what a woman's got to do.
Yeah, but the important question is which regional coordinator would win in a bar fight?
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
It
Mr.
depends on what
Lipscomb.
state you're in, because in certain states you can carry a concealed firearm.
I got your back, Rita. We're okay.
Okay, Janet.
Oops, I'm Bill Lipscomb. I'm with KISRA, Canal Institute for Social Research and Action here in Charleston, West Virginia.
fantastic.
Awesome.
Phyllis?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Phyllis Gross. I'm a senior coordinator for the planning department for the Full Employment Council in Kansas City, Missouri.
Now, I hope you're being very careful, Mr. iPhone, because you're driving, and I'm hoping you're driving very safely. Can you introduce yourself? Okay, don't take your eyes off the road, but where are you from?
This is John Galiotos. I am the Dean of Workforce Development at Saleh University and also the PI for our EPA Brownfields program.
Great, thank you. We have had people, we've had a guest speaker, Art Shanks, bless him, was on I-5 in California trying to give his a routine about his program, and I said, please pull off. Please drive safe. Mac, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Mac Alabed. I'm out of Detroit, Michigan. It's the Southwest Economic Solutions Senior Manager of Workforce, and we currently have an EPA grant currently.
Fantastic. Christine.
So I'm Christine Blanche from Sober. Actually, let me turn my camera on. Could you guys see me? Am I coming in? If I'm not, I'm sorry. Okay, we go. So I'm Christine Blanche, Career Services Coordinator at Sobro, and we are a co-grantee in 2021 with the City University of New York, and we're providing BJT, formerly known as EWDJT training to Bronx and Manhattan residents and low-income communities and those re-entering the workforce post-COVID, and I'm excited to be a part of the team.
Michael Long.
Good afternoon again, Michael Long. I'm also a senior coordinator with the Full Employment Council, Region 6, Kansas City, Missouri. We've been a grantee with EPA for several years, and so excited to be here.
And the other Michael.
This is Michael Primsrod. I'm with the Los Angeles Conservation Corps.
Cindy. Cindy Manning.
Hello, I am Cindy Manning. I am also with Coalfield Development in West Virginia, and happy to be here.
Fantastic. Rachel.
Hi, I'm just running errands for the office. I'm Rachel Mowat. I'm the Special Projects Manager for the Department of Labor at the Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribes. And we just submitted all of our stuff to Rita. She's our best friend right now. And hopefully we got everything we needed to submit.
Cool. I hope
You guys
driving
are getting a
safe.
treat to see Rachel. Usually when I call or we set up a meeting, she's on the other side of the wall. I said, where's Rachel? Oh, she's on the other side of the wall, but now you get to see her.
We like our tribal grantees. Amy.
Hi there, my name is Amy Penny. I'm with the Alaska Forum, and we have a environmental worker training program that we just received another round of a grant for. So we're looking forward to using it.
We've got some things in common in today's speaker. We'll get to that in a second, but we've got rural, tribal, no jobs, high unemployment rates, but there are different types of grantees. We've got Alaska, we've got a tribe, we've got Coalfields. I mean, they're very different, but they're very similar, and you'll see in a little while about that. Julie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julie Lawson. I work for the District Department of Energy and Environment in Washington, D.C. in the Green Economy branch, and I serve as the liaison to the University of the District of Columbia, the only public land grant university in an urban area in the country.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Didn't know that. Anybody else that we're missing? Okay, well, we always start out with news from Washington. Steve will fill us in on what's going on, so we're just up to date. And thank you for introducing yourselves. It takes a little time, but we'd like to see faces. And as the newcomers have understood by now, this is very informal, and that's the purpose of this program. We learn from each other, we help each other, and we network. So that's just the way this is. And we're here every 2 weeks. Well, this is the last of this cycle. We're going to start a new cycle on the 15th of June, in 2 weeks from now. So Steve, you want to take over?
Sure, Mike, thank you. And I'll be brief because we want to make sure Marilyn has plenty of time to talk about our program. Just kind of running through some of these topics and some of these announcements, some of the dates we've given before, but we always have different people come and go. So we like to repeat them. Brownfields 2022, August 16th through 19th. If you don't have that on your calendars, you might want to put it on your calendars. And we've also heard that the housing now, they're taking, housing, and it's even getting kind of backed up. So you want to make sure if you're planning to go that you make arrangements as soon as you can. And also one thing that Mike and I want to mention is August 15th. That's the night before the official Brownfield National Conference. They're going to have the 2022 Environmental Justice Caucus. And that's a really good meeting. It's from 5 to 6:30 in the evening. So if you come in the day, the day before on that day, you could maybe make that meeting in the evening. And it's an important component of the National Brownfields Conference. And the caucus is kind of a locally driven event where people and organizations involved in environmental justice convene to share ideas, to help build relationships and communicate directly with EPA. So it's really a great event. It's usually well attended. So if you're thinking about coming to the Brownfield National Conference, make a note that that's on Monday night, August 15th. So that'd be the night before it starts. Also, from time to time, we get questions that come in. Recent question was basically, how can we find out when the next request for the brownfields job training applications will be issued, and how do we get a copy? And the response that we want to share is all PLC members will be notified as soon as the RFA is issued. We will also attach a copy of the guidelines, and notices will also be posted on grants.gov, on the EPA website, and Brownfields Toolbox. So you should be covered if you're looking for that announcement. We're going to announce it in a number of ways, and you'll be able to find the information in various places. We're expecting the next RFA to be issued probably sometime in this month or July. Not sure exactly when, but EPA will be scheduling a webinar to review the guidelines when that's about to happen. Also, another announcement is the next EPA Environmental Justice Call is going to be June 21st, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And those are also valuable calls. If you haven't been on one before, we would encourage you to do so, to participate. Also, as far as announcements goes, the HMTRI grant recipient directory is in progress. We've sent out notices to all of the grant recipients to please fill out the information on the scan and help us complete the process. I'm going to put it again in the chat box if you haven't filled that out yet. It's really important. Ask for your contact information, also information about your program, graduation dates, and the number of students available for employment, when they're going to be available, what kind of training are you giving the students, what kind of certifications do you offer, and also any social media information you have. If you have a YouTube channel or anything else, we like to know what that is. And we developed this directory that we take with us and we market at the National Brownfields Conference to any employers that come by our booth. It's also good to have up there on the website. So that's another place where, employers could possibly, come and take a look. We'll have at the Brownfields National Conference, it's not uncommon for an employer to just wander by our booth and say, well, what do you have any programs in Kansas City, for example? And it's like, well, yes, we do. And here's the information, for you. So we like to help market the program, but we need your help to complete the directory in order to do that. So please help us out with that. Also, the 2022 in-person all grantee meeting is being planned for October 11th through 14th. We're also going to be sending out a scan, basically a survey, to find out about different topics, that you're particularly interested in. Basically, we want to know what you'd like to see, and we're going to put a whole list of various topics, give you an opportunity to add topics that you don't see. Any other information or ideas you have would be also very helpful to us. So you're probably going to be seeing that survey or scan come out in probably the next few days. Mike and I worked on it and completed the first draft, and now we just need to drop it in Google Forms. So we're going to be sending that out because we'd like to know what you'd like to see at that meeting in October. Lastly, the new PLC cycle will begin June 15th. So this one is going to be basically the end of this cycle. And we're really appreciative of Marilyn being here to talk with us about the Coalfields program. So with that, Mike, I'd like to turn it back over to you.
Okay, yeah, it's the new 2 weeks from now, same time, same place. We'll send out to everyone, all the members of the PLC, so you'll get notices. Just click in, same as always. We're going to focus more on the RFA coming out. We're really privileged to
It came
have
out.
Marilyn on today. Excuse me?
It just came out. I got an email from Channing. He said it was just posted to the grants.gov.
Okay,
Wow.
well, this afternoon you will get a copy of it from us.
We said it would be this month or next. So voila, there it is. Yep. Awesome.
They're on the ball. They're at EPA. They're always ahead of schedule. So they did the same thing on the announcements. They announced early. So yay. Well, this is perfect because the next PLC will be working on that. Have they scheduled, will they also schedule a guidelines? They have a webinar explaining the guidelines, and there may be some serious questions you want to ask, which will probably be in 2 weeks, I expect. It'll be an EPA. Well, we'll have to see when that's going to be scheduled. It's usually about 2 weeks, and they'll run through the new guidelines, and they'll open the floor up for questions. And this year, I'm sure there will be some interesting questions about applications and the new upper limit and the expansion of stipends and childcare. So we'll be sending you notices this afternoon. This week, Coalfields comes back. We're happy to see them. They were a grantee in 2015. Coalfields has actually been around since 2009. And I think you all are familiar with what happened in southern West Virginia. I mean, the devastation of their economy, no jobs, rural, people unemployed, very difficult situation. People in Indian reservations may say the same thing. People in Alaska may say the same thing. They're common, as I said before, common problems, but this program is applicable to those. And I kind of caught Maryland by surprise, because they haven't really started their program. They were FY22 awardee, but I thought it was really important for them to be able to tell their story, and they've got a long history in workforce development, and they may have their plans of what they're planning on doing. So they're in FY22, and I think we were so impressed with them when they were grantee, we just thought, well, we're going to push the envelope a little bit, and some of you may get some good ideas from their approach. So with that, Marilyn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Why, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. And also I do have my colleague Cindy here. She works with me in the program and sector development team, and also works on our data collection and grants management side. So just wanted to say hey to Cindy. We're actually office mates, but I'm traveling today, so didn't know I'd see her pop up. So good to see you. Good to see everyone. Glad to be here today. Like Michael said, Coalfield Development was actually started in 2009 by a local resident of Wayne County, who had, like many of us, had gone away and had been gone for a while, and got educated in various things. Brandon Dennison is who I'm talking about as our founder and current CEO. One of the things he studied as part of his master's program was social enterprise. And he had a heart for taking care of people and helping his community rebound, and a head for business. And so in thinking about what he could do, coming back to his home state and hometown, he combined the two and really kind of dug into what social enterprises could do to help transform local economies that, as Michael said, have fallen onto really hard times. So I'll talk a little bit more about our social enterprise approach. I do have a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation I'll try to share with you here. This was working a few minutes ago. Let's see if it still is. Let's see. I'll just kind of walk you through. Can you all see that? Yeah. All right. I can't see you all anymore.
We can see it.
Oh, okay, great. So let's see. For some reason my advancing buttons. There we go. How did I do that? It's magic. I touch just the right thing and things happen. All right. So as Michael was saying, this information is kind of old, but I've looked into it. We applied for quite a few grants, and we keep finding ourselves in a situation that, as even with COVID, with all of the changes in our economy, West Virginia still is among the nation's highest unemployment rate states. And even more disturbing than that, we have the nation's lowest labor participation rate, which means we've got a lot of people that have just dropped out and have stopped looking for jobs. And we also have a low rate of higher education. And some of you may know, you can see the little map there. West Virginia is the only state entirely within Appalachia. And our history has been one based in the extraction of natural resources, timber, oil and gas, and of course, coal. So, coal has been declining for many years, but back in the early teen years, up through 2017, the industry really collapsed globally. And of course, it was felt really significantly in Appalachia, and in particular in West Virginia. And right before the pandemic, we were still dealing with the collapse of the coal industry, and then layered on top of that, the opioid epidemic, which again, these are the statistics you don't want to leave, but West Virginia was one of the states hardest hit with opioid deaths, and still has a lot of ground to make up in fighting the opioid epidemic, and a lot of fallout from that with people. So that's kind of the setting that the organization was founded in, and was founded to help change the picture here. So, one of the things that we spend a lot of time doing is really just looking at our theory of change. And we do understand in places that don't have robust economies, and when you're trying to rebuild it from the ground up like we are, that you can see at the very bottom of our pyramid there is building trust and relationships with people, and working in experimental ways, trying different approaches, and then from there building up to creating those new markets and creating new job sectors. And along the way, making sure that we're working side by side with people, and we're, of course, doing deep development work with folks so they can reach their full potential, power, and purpose, which is what we're all about. So the way we do this is that we have what we call four things that we focus on. These are our strategic advantages. And the first one, of course, is in that incubating and investing in employment-based social enterprises. We've done this from the start of our organization. We were actually founded as a construction business. That was our first social enterprise, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But through these businesses, which operate in the market economy like any business, but we keep a focus on that triple bottom line of people, profit, and planet. So within our social enterprises, we're able to create jobs in communities where there aren't any jobs. We come in as the employer, and we stand up businesses and support other social entrepreneurs that are in sectors that we believe will diversify our economy and provide those employment opportunities, as I said, where there may not be any. So in some of our communities, there may not be a general contractor, a licensed general contractor. There may not be construction going on because the economy has collapsed to that point. So right now we have, I think I missed one, maybe not. I'll just go through these, and then I may have some other slides pop in. So the second core capability that we have is this facilitating professional, personal, and academic development for people facing barriers to employment. So as an employer, and we're just in the market like any employer, we need good, competent, trained workers for our enterprises. Since we're growing both sides of the equation there, we know that we also have to come in and be the workforce trainers. And we do this through two basic workforce approaches. I'm not sure where my slides went. One is called RAPS, which is Workforce Readiness and Professional Success. That's how we hire people into our enterprises. It's a 6-month paid experience where we hire people, like many of the people that you see there in the picture started as RAPS trainees. And in their first 6 months with us, they're paid a wage, which is crucial for people that are just entering the workforce to be able to get the self-efficacy and to start addressing their barriers to employment tangibly. And in that 6 months, they work 33 hours a week, paid at $11 an hour. They're hooked up with mentors that provide that on-the-job training. They receive the training, such as the training that we are providing through our workforce training grant, the EPA grant. So they're receiving their certifications in HAZWOPER, OSHA 10, and then some in other environmental cleanup areas such as mold remediation, asbestos remediation, lead abatement. So we pick a series of trainings that we think a lot of people would be able to put to work immediately upon getting them. So during their 6 months of RAPS work, they're also paid up to 4 hours a week to address those barriers to long-term employment success. And they work side by side with our personal development coordinating team. So they're working on things like having licenses reinstated, getting that automobile, securing housing, getting into a more robust recovery program. About a third of the people that we hire are in recovery. About half are in recovery, about a third are justice involved and are coming out of incarceration situations. So there's a plethora of barriers that we systematically help people work through. And we think that that is part of the work, so that is paid. And then 3 hours a week, they receive a scholarship to do personal development, which is different from meeting their milestones and removing those barriers, but it's really a training approach where they're learning what's often called soft skills. So they're learning about time management, financial literacy, appropriate employee behaviors. And we have I could do a whole talk just on our personal development approach, but we have a manualized training approach for that. So after they graduate from RAPS and they have a minimum of 6 certifications and certificates, they're either a better employee for someone else outside in our employer network, or we then will hire them into one of our social enterprises or programs. And at that point, they become a 33-6-3 trainee or crew member. And as a crew member, as opposed to being a RAPS trainee, we make a 1 to 3 year employment commitment to them. So we're really investing deep in people. And during their time with us, they are, as a crew member, they're also continuing with their on-the-job training, deepening those skills. They're still doing the 3 hours of personal development every week, but then they're adding a 6, which is 6 hours of higher education. So we're supporting people to attend community and technical college to work toward an associate's degree, or a trades degree, like a deep welding certificate, something that is comparable to an associate's degree. And that's to help up that educational attainment rate. And the people that we're working with, by and large, are first generation higher education consumers, they're first generation learners, and our organization works diligently to support them as they're on this education journey. And the reason that we will support and employ someone for up to 3 years is because that's about how long it takes for them to get that associate's degree. Since our programs are considered on-the-job work training credit, it takes a little bit less time since they have that benefit. Then I'm just going to stop touching the computer screen. I think that's my problem. Okay, so this slide is out of order. And when we're talking about our social enterprises, right now we do have 2. We have Mountain Mindful, which is a light manufacturing firm that, as it says right there, it does home decor, reclaimed materials. We have a sustainable apparels business, which is printing T-shirts on the fabrics are made out of recycled cotton and water bottles, and it's all very environmentally sound. We do bench carpentry work, and then we also are training people in logistics and aggregation and distribution as products are moved around. So that gives us a lot of different areas that we can take people, hire them, and do deep training in as they're both RAPS trainees and crew members. Then our second enterprise is called Revitalize Appalachia. It's a green construction firm. We're a licensed general contractor. We are often found doing affordable housing projects, building rehab taking old dilapidated buildings and turning them into useful attributes for a community. We also have a creative placemaking emphasis within our construction and community design. So we always engage with the communities before we step in to start doing the work. Oh, so see, I do have the slides of what I was saying. They're just out of order for some reason. So here, as I just described, there's, you can see on your screen, maybe a little bit more details about both of our RAPS program and our 33-6 and 3 program, if that helps. Also, with our 33-6 and 3 program, we've recently unionized. And so our 33-6 and 3 crew members are union members. We are affiliated with the Carpenters Union. Okay, so the third core capability that we follow is what I was just mentioning with leading and collaborating on community-based revitalization projects. And this also lines up really well with the EPA Brownfield Training Grant, because often the community-based revitalization projects may be on brownfields and are in brownfield community, some of the areas that need the most attention. So in particular, when we find a location that needs the revitalization and we're looking at construction, it really helps us to have the skills that the EPA training provides on our own staff and with our own trainees and crew members. So it's very circular, but of course, we also open up our training opportunities, not just to the people that we're hiring, but to the communities that we're working in, because we want a good, strong workforce for us, but then also for other employers. We've had such a disconnect with employment for so long. Employers are always saying, we can't find workers. Workers are always saying, no one will hire me. So through training, we're able to bring employers and employees together in some new and innovative ways too, to help kind of mend and heal that employer and labor relationship. So this slide is just an example of how we might go in and work in a community with re-envisioning an old building, turning it in then to an attribute for the community. In this particular instance, we built a coffee shop, office space, and then above that, there's affordable housing units. So, okay, so our fourth core capability, I'm just watching the time, I know I gotta pick it up here a little bit, is we have market shaping and sector development work going on too. Refresh Appalachia actually used to be an enterprise of Coalfield, but there's so much work still to do in just developing the local sustainable agricultural sector. We've brought it back in and we're now nurturing it as a nonprofit program. However, it is still hiring people directly, like as if it were one of our enterprises. We still have RAPS trainees hired there and crew members hired there, building out workforce development and training around sustainable ag. Then our newest program is called the Reuse Corridor, which is led by our conservation coordinator, which gets us much more deeply into understanding waste stream and understanding recycling, composting, solar, lots of different environmental technologies. And that's opening up many more areas of deep training for us to get into. So we now have Southern West Virginia's largest solar array on top of our 96,000 square foot kind of flagship building in Wayne County. It's actually in West Huntington, if you're familiar with West Virginia. And we're getting ready to put additional solar on one of our abandoned mine sites that we're rehabbing down in the deep southern coalfields in Mingo County on a project called the High Wall Project. So it's just an example of how we see rebuilding our economy from the ground up really does take focusing on many different sectors at the same time in order to get the engine of the economy running again. So again, with that work, there is a lot of work both in brownfields locations and then introducing people to the new energy economy. We've been old energy economy, but we're transitioning to the new energy economy, clean energy, and the like. So here's just, over the past 10 years, we've had a lot of different opportunities to support people's businesses as they entered the economy. We have mechanisms through our organization. We have something we call the SEED Fund, SEED, that's Social Enterprise and Economic Diversification Fund, where we can actually take equity stakes in social entrepreneurs who enter the market alongside of us and who are willing to hire workers that are perhaps facing barriers to employment. But if an employer, a social entrepreneur matches us on our values, we'll help them out financially for them to grow their business. Then we've trained people through a variety of mechanisms, including the job training grants. So, and then as an employer, we've created jobs. Our RAPS positions are considered full-time jobs. And then we're continuing to attract new investment to the region. And part of that is also by helping our communities take abandoned properties, brownfield locations, and repurpose them and make them usable. So again, we're really working to help people have a full life and to give people the tools they need by helping them remove those barriers to succeed. And it's very heartening when we see people move through our training programs to actually walk across the graduation stage as the first in their family to achieve higher education. And then they take those skills back to their rural communities, and we're helping to retell the narrative. So specifically within these, within this training grant, I'll talk about how we run these grants a little bit. We do know that we're training people that are both employed by us within our organization, but we're also letting the community members and other employers send their employees to us. So if you're what we call an advanced training participant, then the expectation is that you will participate in our 33, 6, and 3 workforce training program to ultimately get that associate's degree, along with these super important professional certificates and certifications that we know will help people get jobs. But then we also have learning level participants that are people from the communities that can come and take a series of the courses that we have outlined in order to get certified as a job trainer. We may not employ them, but we want to make sure that they have the skills that they need to go forward and use their training. And they are still open for us to help place them with employment. This is just a list of some of the courses. This was our old course list. We've actually expanded it now, so we have some new ones that we're hoping to or excited to launch with our 2022 grant. So with the last one, we were able to meet our goals and got a lot of certificates and certifications into people's hands and people placed into jobs. One of the challenges that we face is since we work in very small rural communities, for us to train 20 people at a time is significant. I know if we were in a bigger city and based in different areas, I know some of the trainings that take place, are training hundreds, if not thousands of people. We don't have the density of population. Our capital city is under 50,000 people right now. The population of West Virginia is dropping. And so, these numbers for us represent a significant bite into some of our communities' unemployment rates. We do have partners that we're maintaining. We're continuing to work with Marshall University's Brownfield Assistance Center, the Mountain West Community and Technical College, and Southern Community and Technical College system. Our community and technical colleges are important partners with this. They, as we get accreditation with our training outcomes that we do on the job in particular, those translate more robustly into credits that people can earn toward that associate's degree, which helps buy down the time and cost for folks. And then the reuse corridor, which is our organization may lead it, but there are 5 or 6 right now anchor organizations throughout Central Appalachia that are starting to participate in this reuse corridor idea, where goods and materials are being removed from the waste stream for people to base other employment opportunities around. And then, of course, we do recruitment through Coalition for Homeless Veterans. That's just one of many organizations that we recruit from to try to target our training to specific populations that we know needs it. So speaking of those challenges, you know, we have several. Like many of you, urban or rural, you know, transportation to and from our training is difficult, and that's why one of the reasons why we created RAPS as that 6-month kind of precursor into our more robust training program. And it's amazing the number of people that we've been able to work with to have a driver's license restated, to get a driver's license in the first place, to connect with available automobiles that they can buy at reduced cost, to walk people through how to use the public transportation that is available. We don't have a lot of public transportation in our rural areas, but I would say that, and Cindy, you can, you know, chime in if you see anything different here, but I would say at least 40% of the first milestones that people want to overcome have to do with transportation and getting to and fro. Then, you know, again, like we were talking about this entire time, you know, placements in areas with not many jobs. Often when we're seeking funding from different federal sources, you know, we do have to explain our scope and scale looks different from a lot of urban areas. And we also spend time justifying the cost and expense of training one person. A RAPS trainee costs about $10,000 because we're paying the wage. And it's not just a stipend, it's not just, which is helpful. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know that getting stipends for people to cover transportation, childcare, and the like, that's a huge step and a huge benefit. And we wish more organizations and agencies would do that. And with that, we're also paying wage. All of the people that we are training are literally on our payroll, W-2 payroll, with benefits. So not only is someone coming to our organization, getting the training and getting the experience, but they have access to health insurance. We provide dental, vision. We provide a fully funded employee assistance program so people can get counseling sessions, up to 8 free counseling sessions to help meet their mental health needs. We have put a life insurance policy. We don't put them on people, but we give people a $50,000 life insurance policy so that if something were to happen to them while they were employed by us, their families would have a resource that they wouldn't otherwise. Sadly, we've had two families changed irrevocably, but it's somewhat of a comfort to know that those families received a benefit. What else do we do, Cindy? I feel like I'm forgetting some. We have a 401k that people can participate in that we help match. So it's, we really want people to feel what it's like to be an employee. And by modeling good employer behavior, we're also able to have conversations with our employer network about retention and about what they may do to help make being an employee easier and more attainable for people who face these significant barriers to employment. So that is, let's see if I can stop share. That is us in a nutshell. There are, a few other aspects and little tangents of our work, but that's kind of like the down and dirty. I know we're running out of time, and I would love to answer any questions you may have.
Oh, this is Michael from LA Conservation Corps. So I just wanted to ask, you guys are doing okay with like matching funds and in-kind services to do everything you need to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a balancing act, right? And we try to generate, we have goals of our social enterprises do generate unrestricted income, program income. So we can use that. Then we have a cultivated group of private foundations that are, that funding is available for match. And some of those funders in particular understand right now that there's a lot of federal money coming down the pike and are working with nonprofits in our region. Maybe, I don't know about other regions, but in our region to help in this particular period, provision nonprofit organizations with additional match money to make that some of those federal dollars more available. Nolan, are you talking?
Marilyn?
Yes.
I saw that you're working with 2 colleges in the West Virginia area. Am I correct? In the Appalachian area?
Yeah, we work with both of the large universities, Marshall University and WVU, and then we have relationships with 2 community and technical college systems.
Have you expanded further than West Virginia?
Not, well, we're starting to. What we've done with our RAPS program is we now have what we call RAPS partners, and these are other nonprofits that are eager to get into kind of like the workforce business, like in their neck of the woods. So we started actually working with our first RAPS partner was in Abingdon, Virginia. It's a close partner that they were in ag, but they wanted to get into workforce because they see the need, just like we did, that we've got to get people back engaged in the workforce and get them trained and get them on their feet. And so we wrote them into, actually it was a DOL work grant as a subawardee, and we transferred funds to them. So they were able to hire people as RAPS trainees. We gave them the technical assistance on our program. And, with the understanding that, after 6 months, they would seek the additional funds to stand up a workforce program if it was effective for them. So they actually created a whole new program within their organization and are now, kind of replicating the model. And we have a total of 5 RAPS partners. They're the only ones that are out of state though. So we're slowly expanding, but we really want, we want to build the capacity of other nonprofit organizations to do the similar work and to access, the training resources that are out there and to give it their local flavor, because we know no one is going to think about the people in Abingdon, Virginia, more than the organization that's located there and is, super intimate with what the needs are.
I would be interested to explore further. We are in Northwest Louisiana. We are in Shreveport, Louisiana, but the area is booming with regards to gas. There's more companies coming in. The area has a lot of gas underneath. So it's Northwest Texas, Northeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, and Southwest Arkansas. There's one in the construction business trades. We have a program, EPA program, but then I see there's a great deal for people to learn these trades. And so that will help us quite a bit. Instead of reinventing the wheel, it's there. Let's develop a partnership, start small, build foundations step by step by step, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, please reach out. My email's somewhere in the chat. I think up toward the top, I put my email in there. Please feel free to, reach out and let's talk.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, Marilyn, I'm sorry I was on mute before. I do want to applaud you and your program. I think you're doing incredible work. And I know that it's very difficult, especially in smaller rural communities. So I have a couple of questions. I'll ask 2, and then if there's time, I'll go with the others. One is, you'd mentioned a sort of declining population, I guess, in West Virginia. Do you have that in terms of the demographic? Is that younger people leaving? Is it, the south end of the state? Is it, how do you?
It's, it's really across the board. One area of the state that probably is gaining population is our Eastern Panhandle, which the counties that kind of stick, if you know the shape of West Virginia.
Right. Yeah, I
It's
used to be in
the two
Ohio,
panels.
so yeah.
Yeah, it shoots over there near DC. And so there's a couple of counties that are becoming like bedroom communities to DC, but from Charleston, which is our capital city, kind of down through the Coalfields, we've lost the core, a core of our young people who have moved out of state to take jobs elsewhere. I think we were on the last census, we were the only state to have lost diversity, which is troubling. So we're really trying lots of different angles and building the new economy in a way that we hope will be attractive. One of the EDA right now has a grant. It's called the Build Back Better Regional Challenge, and our organization was one of 60 finalists for this, of over 500. And our entire BBB Regional Challenge grant is focused on, it's called the Act Now. It's Appalachian Climate Technology Now grant, and it's predicated on transitioning the 21 Southern West Virginia coal counties to be leaders in climate technology. Everything from battery storage to deep work, doing reclamation work, regenerative work on our all of the abandoned coal fields and mountaintop removal sites, turning them into not just fields for solar, maybe some of it, but healing it, the soil, bringing it back so it can be put back into production as a place for carbon sequestration. I mean, it's deep and it's wide, but really that's our vision, our organizational vision. And fortunately, what we found was both our two largest cities, Charleston and Huntington, our two largest universities, WVU and Marshall, normally kind of competitive a little bit with each other. They've come together around this idea of transitioning to a sustainable, climate forward, climate leading approach. So we're excited about that. It's a lot of hard work, but if we're successful there, that'd be a game changer for us.
Okay. Well, almost related to that is my second question. Is there opportunity for, I'd call it internet-based entrepreneurship? I mean, given your population, you're not going to have a lot of people with no money going to the store, and so the idea is to be able to get beyond your borders, but those are typically businesses that are built as opposed to businesses that come in and hire. So what's the climate, I guess, or appetite for that?
It's there. We are still also focusing a lot on broadband issues, which is not, businesses do need that. And there are both connectivity issues, self-service issues. There's places where we work where there's neither. And we're hoping, there's a lot of effort right now to make that better. And we have colleague organizations that are focused just on that, just on helping to train cadres of remote workers that can come in. We are, since COVID, there has been an uptick in land purchase in West Virginia. Some of the land is being purchased sight unseen, but people are, I think, from different parts of the nation are starting to see, hey, you know what? The Appalachian is kind of like higher ground from the East Coast perspective, so if we are going to have to get to higher ground, it's kind of like right there. So, we do think that there's opportunities to continue, as we continue to build and to diversify the economy and get the word out that this is happening. I think people who are interested in different types of work, whether it's in new climate technologies or in reuse, can see the opportunities here, and hopefully we can stop this out migration and get people, coming in, not to exploit, not to take the resources, but to help build them back.
Okay, well, I'll yield the floor, but thank you for your answers.
Well, I'll tell you, you've got an incredible program and you're doing difficult work in a difficult area, but you've got a very interesting model. It's unique, and it's again, a social enterprise, allowing people to earn a living, which is a real challenge with your target group, and allowing to get an education and a career. So it's fantastic, and we welcome you back. I know I'm going to get a lot of requests for your slides. If you could send them to me,
Sure.
I'll pass them on. And I assume it's okay if anyone emails you for
Please.
additional information of how you're operating.
Yep, happy to engage, happy to hear other ideas, new ideas, things that, you know, we could be doing different, you know, so we're open to learning, and, you know that we're not alone in the struggles in rural areas and formerly extreme, you know.
You are on uncharted territory, though. You're doing something really unique that isn't being done everywhere. And it's quite admirable. And you've had the longevity too, and you're succeeding. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Any
I have
other questions before? Go ahead.
Well, it's an idea that only EPA and time can respond to. But in looking at your numbers, you know, and how they don't hold up against a large, you know, urban area, you might want to think about presenting them in a context, you know, like per 1,000 of population or 10,000 of population, because that's really part of that comparative. You know, if you had 2 million people, you'd have bigger numbers, but, you know, you don't. So, but you might look at them not just in terms of absolute numbers, but relative to what, you know, and
well, I think our numbers are not bad. And
yeah, I mean, I think they're
considering,
good numbers. It's just sometimes when you present them, it feels a little, you know, awkward, you know, and so.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
I appreciate that. We're also digging more in on how to express the social return on investment, using some financial proxies. We just learned from our friends at DOL. They're sharing some work about that. So, you know, I think as we grow and as we, you know, want to continue to deepen this work, that things like that, like what you just said, contextualizing the work, showing that the social return on investment is often higher than you would think it would be, given all of the supports that we're providing people.
Right.
Yeah,
And don't forget the story.
Don't
forget to the anecdotes that humanize the numbers. You know, this is how a person, you know, got help, or a family, or a community. You know, so
yeah, that we're rich with.
Okay.
well, the nice thing about this program is so specialized, and we do celebrate rural, underserved communities. EPA, it's not like Department of Labor programs. So you don't need large numbers, but the fact that you're able to leverage tremendously, and when someone goes in, they're getting so much more than, to be honest, what EPA is paying for. It's fantastic. And I think it's the advantage of being able to partner with a larger organization, which you're doing it. So everybody comes out a little bit better. I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Marilyn, two
Yes.
questions. I mean, you have also the Northern West Virginia Community College there, which is has 3 campuses across along the banks of the Ohio River. Perhaps that would be a good expansion for you. You may have already done. And the second is, with the partnerships that you have with the colleges, do you also provide them with lists of suggested equipment they need to buy to support their training?
Yeah, we do. They generally, though, we provide most of the equipment ourselves, and some of that comes through the work that we're actually doing on the ground.
Perfect.
So it's a little bit, so people are receiving the training. A lot of it is within the context of, you know, our particular work. So, if there is a situation though, that there's, specialized equipment, we have worked with our community and technical college partners to provide that. But in terms of, I'm thinking like, everything, simple PPE, training locations, one of the, as an employer and as a business, we have, we have pretty much all of that we need. I think that it was, and the other school that I don't have on that list is Bridge Valley Community and Technical College, which is in the Kanawha Valley. We engaged with them on kind of on a more specialized track around data cabling. As it was a little bit different. It's a little bit more of an urban area. The data cabling work was a little bit more kind of localized, and they were able to provide some of the equipment there for the trainings we needed, not necessarily for the EPA funded trainings, but for the data cabling trainings. But kind of like the precedent was set, and we were able to to work with them.
Okay, thanks.
Marilyn, I have a question, because I'm sort of like you, I'm in a kind of a rural type situation too. Is transportation an issue for some of your people?
Yes, transportation is one of the main issues. And, the people that we're training that are actually our employees, we can get back and forth for sure. What we try to do is locate our community trainings in places, that are the most accessible. What we haven't been able to do is really, even if they're accessibly located, we've not been able to pull from a very large geographic region.
I have that same problem too, is that, yeah, while everybody in New Mexico gets a car when we're 15 or 16, with the price of gas and things like that, people don't really want to go more than out of a 30-mile radius. Okay, 35-mile radius. So, and so I was just curious as to how you, and I do trainings in like Espanola and, trying to get to the people where they need the training. I'm getting calls from Taos too. So, but there's less people, there's less people in those areas.
And that's the thing. I mean, what we try to do as often as we can, if we're outside of our major footprint, is we work with partners. Like we have good partners in different communities around the southern Coalfields. So if we're working down, these names probably won't mean anything, but if we're down in the Beckley area, we work with the New River Gorge Regional Development Authority, and they have some resources too that they can go out and help with kind of collecting people together and spreading the word and making sure there's a critical mass of people.
And that's really hard, when you're trying to get in those outlying areas, finding the best way to communicate with people, because there's not just one source anymore. Radio works for me, but social media has not worked for me at all. I don't know what your experience was.
Yeah. It's really funny because like with social media, it depends on who we're trying to reach. We've invested more in our social media platforms and our communications in general. And we know that, Twitter, social media big time for us, maybe a few years ago was like, we're gonna put it on Facebook. But the age group we're trying to meet, they're not on Facebook anymore. They're on a platform that I probably don't even know exists.
Exactly.
So, how do you Snapchat? I don't know, but we have people who do. And that's the good part.
Yeah. I feel your pain. You're doing a great job though.
Thank you. And again, like through our partners, they often more than us know how to, cold calling, we don't find works too well. And that's why with one of our core capabilities is this community-based redevelopment, anytime that we, kind of have an eye on a community or know that there's potential, or someone says, hey, you should go look at this building, the first thing we do is develop relationships with the people there.
Right.
And that work can take, well over a year, before you even think about having the conversations.
I mean, I've been doing this program now for 10 years, almost 11 years. And only now have I reached the capacity where people are coming to me or they've heard of my program. It's been just this constant. How long have you guys been working? How long has your organization been working?
We're about a decade old.
Okay.
And
So
it's, yeah. And the first
5 years was hell.
First 5 years, I think it was Brandon, a crew chief, 3 crew members, and that was about it. I mean, it took a while, but just in the past few years, I think as people have realized that coal's not coming back, we were told that, very loudly.
Right.
For
decades. Yeah.
Right. And in particular here, just not that long ago, but even with all of the national emphasis on, we got to get coal, coal's going to come back, and it didn't. So now people are like, well, you know what? If it didn't come back after the last administration,
it ain't coming back. Yeah.
Probably not going to come back. So people kind of have their appetite and their mindset is starting to shift,
Right.
which is what we need.
Right. Well, I see things on TV about how much in West Virginia that you guys have been moving into the, technology phases, internet, cable, those types of businesses. So,
yeah, trying to, and again, there's still, and in some places it's not evenly distributed, and that's fine. And down in the some of the coal areas, as I was saying, there's not broadband, there's not necessarily cell service. So
I know. You get 20 miles away from the highway in New Mexico and you don't have cell phone service.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, but it is getting better and more resources. I think we as nonprofit organizations and city planners and others have grown more sophisticated over the past decade as to what's available, what's out there, and what we can tap into. So
yeah,
we're very hopeful. We're very hopeful.
Oh yeah, sounds like it's like, try this, that didn't work, okay, let's back up and try this. I know I'm doing the same thing, especially with the employers. You go to them and say, I'm going to train these people and you're going to hire them or give them internships. You come back 6 weeks later and they're like, oh, we had a downturn in business, yada yada yada. I'm like going, come on. Yeah. Well, thank you for your presentation. It was excellent. I look forward to. Are you going to be at the Brownfields conference?
Yes, I think we had 2 people that were coming. One of them wasn't me, but one of them can't. So now I think I'm gonna take her ticket.
Well, I look forward to meeting you there.
Yeah.
So, sitting down and sharing a beer and talking about rural communities and lack of infrastructure. Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Just come to the actually there's going to be a job training booth, a Brownfields job training booth, and it's a meeting place, and it's y'all's booth. So it's a good place to meet people. So we're all excited about seeing everyone there.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get into this new RFA that's coming out today. We'll send it to you all tonight, and there'll be a briefing coming up. And everyone on the call, last year's grantees are eligible to apply, and they're going to be funding stipends, and they're going to be funding childcare. So it'll be very interesting to see what that request for applications looks like in the next week or so as we read through it and get an interpretation on it.
Great.
So with that, if there's not any other questions, Marilyn, it's been great. It's been a great learning experience for all of us. And 2 weeks from now is be the new another one. We're going to be probably refocusing our efforts to that RFA and what it means and what questions we have to ask EPA. And we'll go from there. And we'll, of course, on Friday, send you out the notes for today's session. And Marilyn can send me the overheads, and anyone who wants one can request one from me. I'll send you a copy of her overheads, if that's all right, Marilyn.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Well,
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
stay healthy.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael.
Yeah. Mike and Steve, I did make a hotel reservation in Oklahoma City.
Oh,
So
okay.
let me know if I should register for brownfields, and then I was trying to hold off on the transportation part, but
I heard that we get 3 registrations. So Corey is into that, how we register us specifically, but we're supposed, with the booths, we're supposed to get 3 registrations.
So that would be,
ancillary to the,
that would be you, me, and you, Nolan, me, and Mike would be the 3
Right.
that come with the booth. And then I think Josh may show up for a day or 2, and he'll just register as an academic person.
now,
Okay.
speaking of Josh, he's been working with Channing. Eastern Iowa was slow, but EPA seems to be slower. What he's doing is he's redoing the budget. And so he and Channing are negotiating, or they haven't even gotten to the negotiation stage. Channing needs to talk to the grants people. And it really isn't that difficult. In the past, we've redone this and it hasn't been difficult, but Channing's new.
Well,
And I think-
Mike, plus the news of today means he's been working on this thing today that
Yeah.
just was released. So
yeah,
expect he's
I'm
swamped.
okay. I just, before I committed
Okay.
money, and got tied up,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
But
we're-
they're good for it.
I'm good.
And
Yeah.
there's no reason why it's not going to go.
Okay.
It's
So I
more
should go
just
ahead and make
bureaucracy.
airline reservations, or it looked a little too far.
We
for
haven't
me to
done it
drive.
yet, but I think so.
All right. Well, I can hold. I mean, I can hold off. It's just I usually try to time it out.
no, you can make it whenever. I'm personally waiting because I have potentially a 50th high school reunion in Illinois.
Yeah.
That I may drive to or not,
Yeah.
so I'm waiting till the last minute till I make that decision to go.
Okay.
But having the
All right.
hotel locked in is good. Which one
Yeah.
did you get?
I have no idea anymore. It's a Marriott, I think, Town Suites, about a mile away or 0.8 of a mile away from the convention center or something like that.
Okay.
It's almost walkable from the convention center, and
Okay.
it seemed to have comparable rates to everybody, and so it's.
Okay.
Well,
Hang
I
on,
was
I
shocked
can
that
actually
the
figure it
RFA is
out.
out.
Give me 1 second here to find blah 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 blah.
I was pleasantly surprised, I think, that the RFA is out.
Wow. I mean, June
Yeah.
1st, Mike. June 1st.
I know.
Unbelievable.
They're way ahead
Unbelievable.
of it. Channing has always been ahead of due dates, so
Yeah, he
it's
has.
impressive.
And if it's because of him, I give him kudos.
I'm impressed. Yep, I'm impressed. So,
Nolan, while you're looking that up,
um,
we had a meeting
yeah.
yesterday with the regional coordinators, Channing and Josh, to go over some stuff. So it went pretty well. We're looking at
Okay.
the ecosystem website, trying to make some adjustments there to make it a little more user friendly, maybe try to make it also multilingual, with Puerto Rican Spanish and so on. So there's some stuff that we're working on, but I think we're in pretty good shape. We're getting ready to send out a scan to people, because one of the things Mike and I talked about is after the Brownfields conference, it's only 2 months to the all grantee meeting.
Yeah.
And we think it would be prudent to scan all of our potential participants and ask them if they're going to one or the other, both or neither. and just
Yeah.
kind of get a sense of, because it's never been this compacted before where we had one and just 2 months later, our big one. So
Yeah.
we don't know if there's going to be a draw off or what. So we kind of want to get an idea. Plus we want to take the opportunity when we send the scan out to talk to them about topics and format and get their
Yeah.
feedback.
Okay. So I made reservations at the Sheraton, Oklahoma City downtown. And it's on Broadway. And when I compared it to where the convention center was, it was like walking distance, like
Okay.
half a mile-ish or less, so I'm not a
Perfect.
hiker.
Sounds good.
Darn.
Yeah. I'm not like Steve where I can just put on my running shorts and be there in 30 seconds or less. I'm more
No.
like Domino's. It'll take me 30
Anything.
minutes to drive. But yeah, so anyway, it's all fine. And, it's like I said, I looked at a bunch of hotels and they're all roughly within $5 of each other. So.
All right.
But
Awesome.
those presidential suites fill up fast though, so you gotta book them when you can.
Steve,
Exactly.
you could start unrecording.
Oh.
Yeah,
Good.
erase the presidential suite comment. That was a joke. Just kidding.